Hi everyone, we are live. Still a few people joining, so we will give it just a couple of minutes. Good time to get comfortable.
Yeah, hello, hello. Perfect time to grab something to drink if you haven't already.
Nice. Irina, while we are waiting, what has been on your mind lately from a design perspective? Anything you keep coming back to?
Honestly, like how much a small thing matters, like a button label or error message, loading state, like so many things that take an hour to fix, but completely change how products feel in the end. And I keep seeing teams keep them because they don't look important on their roadmap, actually.
Oh, yeah, totally agree with you. And that's exactly what today is about. That layer, the one that's easy to overlook and expensive to ignore. All right, looks like most people are in. Let's get started. And let's do a quick technical check. Type plus in the chat if you can see and hear us clearly.
Yeah, I can see the pluses coming in. So maybe we are good to go.
Perfect. So the topic of today's webinar is what users feel before they click, the hidden psychology of UX. In simple terms, why users stay or leave before they have even done anything, and how much of that is actually in your control as a designer.
And also, by the end of today's webinar, you will have some clear understanding of what's happening emotionally when someone opens product for the first time, a sense of which design decisions actually shape that feeling, and if you think you can go back and fix this week without the full redesign of your product.
Perfect. So let's officially introduce ourselves. My name is Pavlo Savchenko. I am a lead product designer at LinkUp ST and an 11-time Red Dot winner, specializing in product design for mobile and web. I have worked across a range of roles and tech products, and I have been in the industry for over 8 years, working from real estate and fintech to complex CRM systems. Right now, I am working on a product with around 80 million monthly users, and there is a daily challenge: how to make it better, faster, and without compromising quality.
Oh, yeah, that sounds great. And let also introduce myself. I'm Yarina, product designer at Linkapacity, with 4 years in this field. So before I studied computer science, but somehow I just along the way and realized it, I care about more how products feel than how they work under the hood, to be honest. And most of my work has been a SaaS platform, some complex platform, where some real challenges is making everything feel simple. And the thing I keep coming back to this is the psychology, usually behind the user decisions. Why people started to hesitate, what makes them the trust the product, and also what they feel before they just started to do something here, which makes I think today's topic is pretty close to home for me.
By the way, at LinkUp ST, we are recognized by three of the most prestigious names in global design: the Red Dot Award, the Webby Award, and the A Design Award. And what makes this especially rare is that LinkUp ST is one of only three companies worldwide that holds all three of these major UX awards under one roof. If at some point during the webinar you realize you would like to talk through your own case, feel free to reach out, and you can find CTA form in right below. Leave your contact details anytime, and we will reach out of the webinar. We are really happy to jump on a call and discuss it together.
And you want, you know what? I think we don't want this like to do like one-way talk. So let's do quickly some poll right now. And my questions will be for this topic today. What do you think? Do you make decision which based on emotions or a logic?
But what about you, Irina?
This is a great question, to be honest. So, what I want to say for this one, I usually started with emotions, but in the end, it happened with all logic. So, I think, yeah, in my cases, every time logics win. And what about you?
I don't know. Let me think. I guess for the most time is based on emotions. But in a few days, I think about why I did it, and I guess I don't need it, but at those moments, it was super great emotion, and I like it. So, 5 topics for today, and they're built on each other, so it's worth staying with the sequence. We will start with the emotional decision layer, what's actually happening before the user does anything at all. Then we will look at first impressions. What forms in the first 5 seconds and why it's so hard to recover from getting it wrong. After that, cognitive ease, the hidden cost of making users think too hard. Then visual hierarchy and interaction cues, how the design either guides people or leaves them to figure it out on their own. And we will close with trust because that's where all of it connects to retention, conversion, and real outcomes. All right, Irina, over to you.
Yeah, thank you for passing me microphone. And what I want to start today with my first topic, want to discuss with you about more the emotional decision layer. And let's start with some small experiment. Think about the last time you open an app or maybe some website and almost immediately felt, no, that's not for me. You didn't read any content, what it's like you see for now, and you didn't check the features, you just felt it. And usually what you do, just left these pages. And when we speak about like more the emotions, we started with like think about the last time and also open something in the app or the website and immediately feel like, no, that's not for me. And you usually don't take patience for some great colors, for some buttons, for the different layouts, and usually just go for this one. And the opposite, what can be happening, the product you open it immediately started to feel comfortable. Like you already know what you want to do and what you want to be there. And what's the difference between these two examples? It's probably not about the logic. It's usually about the feeling. And the real science behind this, oh my God, so many science started today. And some of the neuroscience, named like Antonio Damasio, studied some patients who had damages to the emotional center of the brain. These people had the perfect memory, perfect logic, but they couldn't make decisions. Even the smallest one, like what to eat for the lunch, which pen to pick up. And because it's turned out, emotions, it's not the opposite of rational thinking. It's a follow for it. Without willing to follow, the brain just loops. So someone's opened your product for the first time, they are not analyzing it. They feel it. It's safe or unsafe, familiar or strange to me. This is for me or this wasn't made for me in the mind. And it's happened incredibly fast. Researchers also from the Google and the University of Basel show that people form the visual impressions in about the 15 milliseconds. That's faster than I blink, to be honest. So, and with the from like 3 to 5 seconds, they already have some gut feeling about whether they trust what they're looking at now. And maybe start with some examples to quickly compare this one. And one of the incredible examples what I really love, it's about the Airbnb. So they had problems in years. They didn't fix the algorithm in the beginning. What they did, they just hired some professional photographer to reshoot the listings in New York, just some better photos. You just think, okay, how it's related for the designs. Actually, it's only the changes of content, but revenue doubled in that market within a week. Let's quickly go through some of the examples. It's like you can see some photography that launches the empire, I want to say. Like you can see what was amateur pictures and professional with photo shoots. Yeah, you can start to look this one and you feel like, no, I don't want to book, or you started to feel about like, okay, I want to feel myself here. And some opposite examples usually are what came to my mind. It's about some government website. You have the all informations here. The functionality works well, but the feeling you can see like this one, it's heavy, cold, a lot of bureaucratics, and that feeling makes people anxious before they read a single word. They are already braced for the difficulty. We don't remember products that work well. We usually remember products that made us feeling something. So as the designers, like me, the question isn't just, does this work? It's usually like, what does this feel like to someone who has never seen it before? Maybe more specifically, what do we want to them to feel in the first 5 seconds? Because we only have the first 5 seconds to have some impression for our users. If you can answer for this question clearly, it becomes a design brief. Every visual, every word, or every layout decision can check against it. So, for example, let's return again for the Airbnb, what I started before. The answer was, I belong here. For the headspace, it was, you are in good hands. And for the notions, it's like, I can handle this. This is all about the feelings, not the features. And they are absolutely something you can design for it.
Nice, nice, nice. I have a question to you quickly. You said that feeling happens in 50 milliseconds before the user reads anything, before they even fully register what they are looking at. But if it's that fast, can a team actually design for it? Or is it more like you either get it right intuitively or you don't?
Oh, yeah, that's a nice question. Let me quickly think about. You know what? I think you can absolutely design for it, but only when you started from the right questions. Not like, what do we want the user to say first, but maybe to rephrase this, and it's need to start it with the questions. What do we want them to feel in the first 5 seconds? Like for example, like I showed it before for the NB, it was I belong here because every visual, every word, and also every layout decisions came from the anchor, some specific anchor. And once you have these questions, I think it stops being intuition and starts to being a brief for your products.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And the first 5 seconds is exactly where I want to go next. Because I think there is a lot happening in that window that teams underestimate. Let me show you what I mean. I want to start with something a little uncomfortable. Think about the last time you reviewed your own product. Really looked at it fresh. When was that? Because most of us design for a user who already understand the product. We have been looking at it for months, and we know what every button does. And slowly, without realizing it, we stop being able to see it the way someone new does. This is called the curse of knowledge, when what feels obvious to you is not obvious to your users. And it's one of the most common reasons first impressions fail. First impressions in digital products are actually three things happening at the same time, and all three have to work together. Does this look credible? Do I understand what this is? Is this for someone like me? Miss any one of these, and the user is already gone, even if everything else is perfect. Let me give you an example of a product that got the look right but failed the other two, the Clubhouse. When it launched, it looked beautiful, minimal, elegant, lots of white space. But new users had no idea what to do. There was no onboarding. The interface gave zero signals about what the product even was. And because it was invite only, people felt pressure to figure it out fast. Many left without ever understanding what they would join. Beautiful design, failed first impression. Now compare that to Duolingo. When you open it for the first time, within about 20 seconds you have already doing a lesson. You haven't created an account. You haven't read an explanation. You are just doing the thing. And by the time they ask you to sign up, you have already experienced the product. You know if you like it. That first minute experience is one of the main reasons Duolingo's conversion from first open to registered user is so high. They designed the impression, not just the interface. One more, it's Notion. Really like this tool and use it by daily basis. First time you open it, you see a clean page and three words: find, organize, and add new, and welcome to Notion. Then immediately a template you can start using. No tutorial, no 12-step onboarding. Just here is what this is. Here is how it feels. Three words and a blank page. That's it. And what breaks trust in those first seconds? Small inconsistencies, A stock photo has nothing to do with the product's tone. A headline that's trying to be clever instead of clear. Or very common, for example, in SaaS products, a landing page that promises one thing, and then after sign up, the product looks completely different. That gap is called expectation dissonance, and it's one of the strongest predictors of early churn, or like the churn rate. The fix, is not always a redesign. Sometimes it's one sentence. Sometimes it's removing a visual that's creating the wrong tone. First impressions are often fixed not by adding, but by subtracting the things that are diluting the message.
You know what, Pablo? You just mentioned
Yeah.
about expectation dissonance, because I also know some terms what it's called as a cognitive dissonance. I think the same. And I have questions to you. So, for example, if we compare the different landing pages or the website, that usually the landing pages promises for us one thing and the product delivers another.
Mhm.
But in my experience, that gap often isn't intentionally. Like teams just stop noticing it. How do you usually catch this before it's shipped?
Okay, great. It's a good question. Really a good question. I guess the fastest way is to watch someone use a product for the first time and just be quiet. No explaining, no helping. Just watch where they slow down,
Yeah.
where they hesitate, and where they look confused. Those moments of silence are the gaps you can't see from the inside. Fresh eyes always catch what we miss.
Yeah. And also, I think what also fresh eyes usually pick up on the first, before the visuals, before the different long flows, it's the words. Because language is almost like the first thing a new user actually reads. And maybe it also most overlooked part of the design. That's what I want to get into now. So the next one, what I want to discuss with you, it's about some cognitives, some hidden metrics here. And I want to ask again you something. Think about the last time you felt a little bit dumb using some products. Not that it was broken, just you couldn't figure out something that was probably obvious for the other users. And check out steps, for example, or some setting menu or onboarding screens. And that feeling is usually like, okay, I started to missing something, or it's like some of the most common emotional experience for the digital product is what I noticed before. And usually it almost never shows up in analytics. Like you cannot catch this like for the different metrics or something like in this way. The user doesn't report it. They just quietly stop trying. And in this time, we started to cause some think what it's called it like cognitive load. How much mental effort does the users need to understand and use your product? The lower the effort, the better experience feels. I call this like it's figuring out task. Like every time a user have to stop and think, where is this button? What does this mean? What will happen if I click here? They all pile some small text. And these taxes adds up. And some points, the cost of this one can be too high for our products. And usually users just sleep. So what I want to add for this one, and copy is where this plays most visibly and where most products leave the most value behind. For example, let's think about some error messages. You can see like most products writing them for the developers. Like for example, you see like error messages. This page doesn't exist. And when some real person start to read this one, that started to feel like they broke something. They don't know what have to do fix this one. What we think about the opposite, one of also with some real example, like Mailchimp's right. Great mind thinks like someone already has this username, so if you log in, or for the error messages, it can be like we lost this page. You can see what it's not about some technical tags here. Yeah, completely different emotional experience. User stays calm, feels understood, and know exactly what to do. Let's also compare one of my examples for the button labels. You can see the submit button, it's very technical accurate, but it's feel final and a little bit crazy from my side. It gives no signals about what happened next. And for example, it can be like start free trial or send me request, which can start to tell us what are you doing and what you get in the end. Some small word can change the whole picture. Measurable conversations difference. And also, again, for my examples, let's return again for the Airbnb. What I really like when you started to book some accommodations, you can see some small text you won't be charged yet. Just few words, but it directly says for me what I can expect after this one. That's UX copy doing emotional work, not just some functionality work. And also the practical questions to ask yourself what you can do, just starting go through with your product and find every place where the user might feel uncertain. We need just to fix this a little bit. How we can fix this one? Yeah, with the right UX copy. Every search with no results, every form before submitting, every button with some not possible booking, and ask if it's this reduce your anxiety or add to it. Maybe this sounds like a system or a person who thought about how this moment would be feel. So yeah, so many different UX copy you can put in your product can prepare the better impact in the end.
Now, you know what? I love the figuring out text idea. But when you are working on a product, how do you know when the cognitive load has crossed the line? Is there a signal you look for or something like this?
Okay, maybe I want to give one of my examples. What I worked before, you know what? We started to have the fast signals because it was quality. When you do, for example, like when I did this usability testing and the users goes quiet for then 3 seconds, that was for me some silent sign it's cognitive load because they stop it moving something didn't click and you don't need a spreadsheet to see it. So usually you can quickly catch with some emotion during your some testing.
Oh, yeah, that silence is such a precise signal. And in almost every case I have seen, it means one thing, the visual wasn't clear enough to guide them, which is exactly what I want to talk about next, because a lot of cognitive load problems are actually visual hierarchy problems in this quiz. Here is a quick test. Next time you are reviewing a screen, blur your eyes, literally unfocus, or step back from the monitor and ask, what do I see first? What stands out? If the answer is nothing in particular, that's a hierarchy problem. Everything has equal visual weight, so the user eye doesn't know where to go. And when the eye doesn't know where to go, the brain picks up the slack. And that costs energy, that costs trust. Good visual hierarchy is invisible. The user just knows what to do. They couldn't explain why. They just flow through the screen naturally. That's the goal. Spotify shows how strong hierarchy guides attention. Your eyes goes first to the artist, then to the play button, and then to the most popular songs. Secondary actions like tabs, shuffle, menus, and bottom navigation stay in the background. The screen feels easy to scan because the design already tells you what matters most. That kind of clarity is built through intentional hierarchy. And here's something worth saying out loud. Visual hierarchy and microcopy are not two separate things. They are the same system. Hierarchy tells the eye where to go. Microcopy tells the brain what it means. When they work together, the user never has to stop and figure out anything. They just move. When they don't, that's when you get hesitation. And hesitation is where conversion quietly dies. Here is the real case. I have a team I worked with couldn't understand why their pricing page conversion was so slow. We looked at it together. The primary CTA, start free trial, had almost the same visual weight as the secondary link. See how it compares. Same size, similar color. the user's eye had no clear guide, so it bounced. And in those few seconds of uncertainty, a lot of users just left. We changed one thing, made the primary button larger, gave it a distinct color, added breathing room around it, and conversion went up 23% in 2 weeks. Same copy, same offer, just hierarchy. And the second thing I want to talk about is affordances. Visual signals that tell the user this is interactive. Does this look like a button? Does it look like it opens something? If users are not sure, they hesitate. Or they click the wrong thing and feel a very specific and pleasant feeling. Did I just break something or no? Transitions matters too, and they're almost always underestimated. When a screen changes with no animation, no loading state, no visual connection between before and after, user thinks the app crashed. They tap again, and now they're submitted the form twice. A loading indicator is not decoration. It's a message: I heard you, I'm working on it. The best interaction design doesn't show off. It reassures. Every hover state, every confirmation, or every micro animation is the product saying, you are in control. I understand what you did. And here is what comes next.
You know what? Like you mentioned before that some phrase, did I do something wrong? And this feeling, I think it's one of the most underrated emotion states in the UX. Like where users most often hit it, like we have some specific moments you can check before.
You know what? Almost always at irreversible actions, deleting, submitting, confirming a payment, for example. Any moment where the user can't easily go back. For example, if there is no any confirmation, no feedback, no undo, the anxiety spikes. And the second place is transitions, as I mentioned above. When the screen changes with no animation, no loading indicator, users think the app crashed. So, they're tapping again and again, and now they have submitting the form twice. That creates a lot of hesitation and confusions.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, usually that anxiety just around the all actions. Yeah, it's the real problem for like how we can build the trust in the core. And usually what I can add trust, it's exactly where I want to go now, because I think it's like where everything we cover today connected to something you can actually measure. Not about the emotions, but also how we can start to measure this one. And what I want to continue about the designing for trust, not just for the usability. So quickly think about some digital products you generally trust, not just use for everyday basis, but trust. Where you don't think twice before entering your card number, where you assume it will work, and when it doesn't, you will assume it was a glitch, not a trap. What makes you feel that about it? And I'm guessing it's not one the big thing. It's 100 small things that have or never let you down. That's consistently, and this consistently is the foundation for the trust. So, in products, generally, we have some consistency, and this usually means like, does it behave the way I expected? If it's look like the same on the like mobile versions or the desktop, and also does this button do what it says it will do? Predictably, this can feel started to save, and safety, it's what lets the user take the risk. Create accounts, share the data, enter payment details, and trust. It's all about the gate between interested person and also converted person. One of the examples, Stripe. Their checkout flow is simple, minimal, no distractions. Errors are clear messages and also some friendly confirmations. It's immediate, just in a few seconds. And even before the behind the tactics, clean, professional, nothing flashy, communicates we are reliable here. Stripe's owns data shows these businesses using the payments elements see on average like 20% more revenue, not just because it works, because it feels trustworthy. Users don't hesitate at the payment step, and that hesitations or lack of it, it's directly measurable in revenue. So let's take a look for the opposite example. It's called like the design dark parties. I really like this one because you can find out and also some good products, some dark parties, what they use. And for the dark parties, what I want to be careful here because these patterns aren't the results of somewhat deliberately planning manipulations. This is the result of the teams changing something for the short term metrics without asking what does this feel like for the users, without the research, without proper preparations before. We just see some metrics and started to do with something. And confusing opposite what can be here, like for the maybe cancellation flow, like we have the cancellations with a lot of different steps. We need to read a lot of information before this one, but before I know, I just want to cancellate my subscriptions. And they think work briefly, but what they actually do is teach the users that your product, it's not their site. And once someone feels that, you don't get a second change. And there's also like something we don't talk about enough: emotional trust. Not just does this work reliably, but does this feel like it was made for me? And let's start again with examples because it's better to understand when we can see directly the pictures. Headspace does this functionality beautifully. So, for example, we have the onboarding, and it started with some short breathing exercise and some quick questions: why you here, what you're stressing, how much time you want to spend here, and you feel in this moment. So you open it up properly because this moment is relevant to time you started. And this emotional validation is why the onboarding conversation is so much stronger than most wellness apps. You arrive as a person, not like as a users. And that's the shift I would encourage everyone to make, from the designers, from the users to designers to people in some specific emotional state, and also some proper time frames. Someone opening banking app at midnight is not in the same state as someone opening on the Tuesday afternoon. Someone hitting error messages at step 4 or checkout is frustrated and closes to leaving. Your products can't know all of this one, but it can be designed with this all awarenesses. Copy that a little warmer again, because errors messages that don't blame, flows that gives people an easy way back. These are some small choices for the users. They together build something they don't use. They just trust.
You know, Irina, you talked about dark patterns, and I think the honest version of that conversation is uncomfortable because a lot of the time it's not deliberate. A team just doesn't realize their design feels manipulative. How do you recognize that line from the inside?
Yeah, I usually, how I started with this one, not started to take some focus group or prepare some users interview. I started some small tests with myself, just asking me, like, would I feel comfortable if the user know exactly what was happening and why? And if answer is no, it's like the design relies on confusions or urgency that isn't real or something being just hard enough to miss. That's the line. And what I can add here, like usually the good design doesn't need to hide this logic. It can stand up to to see this directly. So I think for the last time, as we usually think about, the good designs need to work well and also looks great. But to be honest, where we have follow some simple logic how we can work with this app, I think it's a great success for this type of products.
Yeah, you know, that's a clean place to land. And I think it's the idea that ties everything together. So let's bring it home. You know, do you remember our quick poll at the beginning?
Oh, yeah, sure.
You know what? I see that more than 80% users and our guys in the meeting uh, buy some products based on emotional side, not by the logic. And it's really close to me. What do you think about like this stat?
Yeah, I think it depends on the a lot of different things, but it's very helpful to see how usually designers, for example, think about their products and also how they started to make the decisions, which we like usually have started with some hypothesis or something like in this way. But yeah, maybe something will be changed quickly.
Yeah, but like this moment in opposite, when you buy something, it's super warm feeling inside. That's okay. That's new thing that I really need right now. But as I mentioned at the beginning, personally on my side, I really engaged, I'm really happy and satisfied with these things like during few hours because it's for me something new, like a new stage of my life, even if it's like a small case for my phone. But for during few days, I think about okay, that's uh, basic things that maybe I didn't need, and it's everything like about my life.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I can add like about myself. So usually when I started with some emotions, I can easily switch my focus. So for example, I don't know, like someone started to like call me or something like in this way, and in this time, all my emotions is broken. And I think it's a great example when you started to see some problems or some issues with products when users just to first time landed for these pages, and also we can just to quickly switch our focus for some dark patterns, for example, what I described before, or something like this way. So yeah, a lot of different things have like have this value.
Yeah, and for example, I have a great point of emotions in the products. I remember, for example, when you purchased like your first iPhone or MacBook, you got like this box and you removed this stripe and unpacked it. And this smells, it's super fresh, it's super luxury. And when you open your MacBook, um, it started like shining and some sounds. It creates super great emotion. And at this moment, you don't remember that, okay, I need right now to start my work quickly on this MacBook. I need to take a moment and enjoy this. Uh, and really, it was a really good topics today about like all our emotional things that are around us. And I guess we have covered everything we planned for this webinar. A huge thanks for being here, and honestly, thank you for the energy and activity in the chat. It's been amazing, really amazing. Thank you, guys. Also, Irina, I see a lot of questions have come in, so let's switch into maybe quick Q&A session, and we will grab a few questions from the chat and go through them together.
Yeah, I
Okay,
already found out one of the questions what I want to answer, to be honest. And this question, it's like, how do you actually define the emotional goal for the product, especially in B2B, where everything feels functionally and business driven? Okay, let's speak about different B2B problems. So, what I want to add here, like, B2B is actually where it matters the most because people forget that behind every enterprise tools, and there's still a person sitting at the desk feeling stressed or confident, overwhelmed, or have everything under control. And maybe the emotional goal doesn't have to feel like inspired. It can be also feel like I'm not going to make a mistake, or also it can feel like I know what I'm doing. That can be still the emotions. It can be some indicators for that. And if you once name it, it usually becomes a design direction. Start usually by asking, what is the emotional state of the user right before they open this product? And though maybe also we want to do this quickly with a five test impression interview. So yeah, usually some small questions help you to answer for this one. And we need to understand about the emotions. For the emotions, it's not always about something good. It can be work like, something smooth, natural. And also it can be opposite directions. So we need also understand the context in which users are working with our apps or the website, or in our cases with the B2B platforms.
Oh yeah, that's nice. That's nice points. Also, now I found quickly the second question. It's really interesting on my topic. We have been iterating on our product for 2 years. How do we actually get fresh eyes on it when everyone on the team is too close to it? The most reliable way is corridor testing. Find someone who has never seen the product, give them one task, and just watch. Don't explain anything, don't help. 5 minutes of watching a stranger use your product will show you more than 2 weeks of internal review. And if you want a faster shortcut, record yourself using a competitor's product for the first time. Notice every moment of confusion, every hesitation. Then go back to your own product and ask, are we doing any of these things to our users or not? It's like a good point to try and test.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. Like usually some practical ways to have some audit what I found out some like cognitive load for the existing product without existing product without doing is with some full usability study. So maybe it takes about an hour, and you can go through your product screen by screen and also flag every place where you have made the decision. So every label that counts mean two things. Every button's not sure what happens next. Every arrow also doesn't tell you how to fix it. Count them. You can start just to count how many you can see. And this number is some also about the cognitive scope. You don't need just to lab to see the whole problem. You just need to take a look for the problem what can exist for your product. Like the first time users and ask how many times did I have to stop and think, okay, maybe it was obvious for me, but for the first time users, I don't think so. So each of the moments, it's a text, and some of them very easy to remove.
Yeah, I agree with you. With your point, it's super reasonable. Okay, guys, I think we are good for today. Thank you for the questions and for the energy in the chat. It was really great to have you with us. If you think of something later, you are always welcome to drop a request in the form or just keep in touch with us online. Scan the QR code, jump to our LinkedIn, and let's stay connected. Thanks, everyone. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.